Well, hello there. I'm delighted to have this opportunity to share with you a variety of ideas, tried and tested and proven ideas with regard to writing articles. Now, I've created for you as a client of ours this particular document here, the content creation system template, and within here are all sorts of different templates for writing all sorts of different content, whether or not it's a video, it's an audio, it's a special report, it's a 7 big mistakes, etc. But often I've been asked, well, Peter, how can I write a powerful article that I can put out there on LinkedIn? Maybe I can post it on Facebook. I can send it to my clients, or I can create it as a download that somebody would be prepared to give me their name and their details in order to get access to it. Maybe it's something I could post on somebody else's blog or on my own blog. Well, within this content creation system, one particular thing I've done for you is I've created a list, what I call a writing guide. If I can just spot it here, it's somewhere here at the front, a writing guide that will enable you to avoid many of the common mistakes that people make when they're writing. I'll give you an idea on that. For example, I think it's in this pack just here. Oh, yes, it is, in this pack here. For example, one of the things we must avoid is the use of plurals. People read our information, listen to our information and watch our information usually on their own. We're not standing on a stage and sharing our ideas. Therefore, we must make sure we don't use expressions such as some of you or all of you or in your minds, because we break rapport by positioning the recipient of our information as being one of the crowd rather than the individual that we're talking to. So, and there's a number of ideas in here. It's an ever-growing list. I think at the moment of recording this particular one, I've got 26 ideas for you. So firstly, I would certainly say read through this writing guide. If you haven't got a copy of it yet, just ask for it and obviously we will send it to you. But for today, what I'd like to look at is how you write an article. And we're going to be looking at 2 different ways of doing that. And we're going to use my 6-stage scripting system. This is the same idea that you can use for writing, for example, a 7 big mistakes report or a 7 secrets report, 7 opportunities report. But we're going to start off by writing an article which is effectively way motivated by telling people about the mistakes that they've got and how they can avoid them. And again, you can either use this idea, this 6-stage scripting system, for just an article, a one-off article, or you could use it for each of the mistakes in a, for example, 7 mistakes report. Okay, you've got the idea of that. If you've got any questions on this at all, obviously always come back to me. So let me show you this, and I'll put this on screen for you as well. This is the 6-stage scripting system when we're talking about problems. I've got another version of it here when we're talking about opportunities, and we'll go through that together. Now, there's also a template you can use. So here's the template here. And again, if you haven't got one of these, just ask for it. This is the 6-stage scripting system problems, and it actually appears in the content creation system template book. And then this is the 6-stage system scripting system opportunities one. So let's start with the problem one first. So here it is. This is the problem one. This is it here, and we're talking about these 6 areas. So I'll show it you. In fact, let me put it on screen and then I can read it and you can see what we're talking about. We're talking about perspective. So we need to give someone perspective because they need to understand where our mind is, and we need to open the files in their mind. Then we talk about a problem that they might have. We then explain the pain that that particular problem will create for them. Then we offer a possible solution or solutions. There may be multiple solutions. Then we explain the pleasure that they get from implementing those solutions. And finally, point 6, we give them a plan of action. So you can see there that it is 6 P's: perspective, problem, pain, possible solutions, because I couldn't think of a word for solution beginning with P, and I did look in the thesaurus, so if you can think of one, definitely come back to me. Pleasure and plan of action. Perspective, problem, pain, possible solution, pleasure, plan of action. So you can use that, and back to me now, you can use that including this idea. This is the template for you where you can simply take an idea of something you want to talk about, make some notes on here, and then you can sit down and write it, or voice it, of course, or video it, whichever you prefer. So that's exactly what I'm doing now. So let me give you an example of an article or one of the mistakes using the 6-stage scripting system when it comes to problems, and then we'll talk about the one you use for opportunities. The classic one I use is talking to somebody about time management. So for example, in the perspective area, and I've got my document here that I'm working from, in the perspective area, and I haven't got any notes on it because I've done this one before, so hopefully it's all going to come flooding back to my mind. I would say something like this in the perspective area. Imagine I'm writing this. As you and I know, there is no such thing as time management. There is only 24 hours each and every day, 168 hours every week, for you and I to use as effectively as we can to live all the areas of our lives. However, if we're looking at how we gain more useful time or gain better use of the time that we have, one of the biggest problems, and you see now I'm coming onto the problem area, one of the biggest problems that people have, certainly commercially, which burns up their time, is the unnecessary use of email. Now, by unnecessary use and unnecessary emails, I mean spam, loads of stuff we've signed up for before that we no longer want, our inbox is filling up with all sorts of emails that we really don't need, and spending time deleting them, reading them, replying to them, whatever it might be. Now, research says that, and this is stuff I've read on the net, that people can waste up to 13% of their normal working day dealing with unnecessary emails. You see, I'm still writing this report, aren't I? You can imagine where this is going. So they spend up to 13% of their day on unnecessary emails. Well, that might be as much as an hour a day. See, now I'm coming into, I've stated what the problem is, unnecessary email. Now I'm coming into the pain associated with the problem. So they're wasting up to an hour a day. Just imagine an hour a day, that's 5 hours a week, that's about 20 hours a month. That's nearly, certainly 2.5 working days every month totally wasted. So if we multiply that by 12, we're talking about 30 days or a whole month of time totally wasted on unnecessary email. So now I've explained the perspective, time management. We've talked about the problem, unnecessary email. We've talked about the pain associated with it, a month wasted every year. And now we've got to come up with some solutions. So as I'm continually writing this article, I'm now saying, so a little subhead I'd put in here. So what might be the solution? And subheads are always a great way when we're writing articles because it keeps the reader reading through the copy. Things like, and what happened next was, or, and even better. And there's lists and lists of subheads that we can have, what's called transitional copy. And I use these a lot in all of my writings because it keeps people reading. So, subhead, what might be the possible solutions? Well, one simple one, of course, is to switch your email system off. And I would suggest that if you would just make an agreement with yourself to check it first thing in the morning, then just before lunch, then just before you finish the day, so there's time to deal with anything, say 4 o'clock in the afternoon, those 3 times, and you might add a 4th in just after lunch, but those 3 or 4 times would be plenty to be able to deal with certainly most email that we get in. There might be an odd urgent one, and if you hadn't replied to it, someone might text you to say, did you get my email? But those 4 or 3 times would certainly work. Then what would be the result of that? See, I'm now coming onto the pleasure side. What would be the result of that subhead? What would be the result of this? Question mark, subhead, emboldened. Well, let's imagine that we could save just 1 hour a day. And let's say, for example, your time was worth £100 an hour. And if it isn't, well, maybe it should be, or more. But for worst case scenario, £100 an hour. And we've already stated, haven't we, and agreed that, hopefully agreed, that there's 5 hours a week we could use better. That's £500 of time. In a month, that's over £2,000. In a year, that's 25 or 30,000 pounds worth of time that we could use to better effect. If your time was worth more, it'd be worth even more. So you can see there's a major upside, firstly, financial terms, of having this useful time. And of course, our reputation, our status goes up when we're known as a can-do person who makes sure we're using our time to the full. And of course, we feel better about it. And of course, I'm struggling now to find even more benefits, but I'm sure you can think of more benefits of having an hour extra every single day that you're not wasting, if you are currently wasting it, on email. Subhead. So what do we need to do? Question mark. And then what we do at that point is lay out the plan of action by explaining how somebody could block their emails with, let's say, spam filters, how they could allocate time in their diary system, how they could close down any notifications from emails, there was no pinging or notifications on screen, and give them a very clear plan of action. Remember, our information becomes valuable, yours and mine, when we divide it into the steps that people need to take in order to get the outcome they came to us for in the first place. And the better the outcome they get, the better the income we get, because I think it's by providing outcomes that we get incomes. In other words, as you know full well, my thinking on this, money is the silent applause for a job well done and value delivered to other people. So there is the 6-stage scripting system when we're talking about problems, and that's the picture of it. Now, there is the one where we can do it in a positive sense, a towards motivated one, where we can talk about opportunities. And let me put this on screen for you now. So what we're talking about here is the overview rather than perspective, what the opportunity is, what positive outcome it could be, what's the overlook of any challenges that we might come into, and what would that put us out of pocket if we didn't take those actions, and what operation do we need to get into in order to use these ideas. So you can see it's exactly the same as the 6-stage scripting system when we talk about problems. I'm just taking it from a positive point of view and talking about an opportunity. So what I would suggest you do, and again there's the templates for all of these things for you. What I would suggest you do then is that if you do an article like that, because you've been watching this, and certainly by all means send it in and we can have a look at it and just have a quick check over to make sure it's running in the right way. Now, how many words might you want for this? Well, a standard page of A4 that we probably print on, if you're doing this in about 10-point Vedana, that type of script, you can get about 400 words on a page. If you're pushing that up to, let's say, I tend to use Avenir a lot, often use book or the middle one for it. So if you use, let's say, 12-point Avenir, you're probably going to get about 300 to 350 words on a page. So not too many words to be able to write a really powerful article. If you've got the 6 stages, and let's say you wrote, I don't know, 100 words on each stage, you've got 600 words, you've nearly got a 2-page article, which is plenty long enough for most people. I think you'd be very happy with an article like that. As always, I hope you can take this idea away and use it, and if you have any questions whatsoever, just come back to me, let me know, or a member of the team, and obviously we'll help you move on to the next stage. Wishing you every success in all your adventures in life. I'll speak to you soon. Take care. Bye-bye for now.